The Thunderbirds, stealth bombers, the Blue Angels, just a few of the aircraft that have made their way to East Tennessee for air shows. Their aerial demonstrations have delighted hundreds of thousands of flight fans in years past. They're flying in once again in September when the air show returns after a more than 6-year hiatus. To celebrate, we'd like to look back at the festivities, fun, and flights we have witnessed before. So strap in as we travel back to the 90s when it all started. The first air show at the Tennessee Air National Guard base at McGee-Tyson Airport was in the spring of 1995, held on April 29th and 30th, and then known as the Dogwood Arts Air Show. The festivities kicked off with flights from the Red Barons.
So that's a lot of fun, and our idea is to kind of get the crowd a little bit juiced up and anticipating what they're going to see later on in the air show.
The Barons' aerial dances did not disappoint the crowd.
This is terrific. Just unreal. What they can do with an airplane buggers belief.
The spectacles on that first day ended with a showing from the Air Force Thunderbirds. Their tricks could sometimes find their planes dangerously close to touching the ground.
Oh, you bet. Yeah, we get within 18 inches at some points during the show, out to about 3 feet. But you bet we are flying in very, very tight formation. A lot of tight turns, some real good roll rates out of it for you. Just really kind of show off what this airplane can do. That's what you'll see.
During the inaugural show, we met up with stunt pilot Frank Ryder, who gave us some insight into the tricks he would be performing for fans, all in attendance.
You'll see me doing maneuvers like my Lamshevak maneuver, where I'll tumble the airplane completely end over end, out of control.
Do you eventually assume control again?
Oh yeah. Obviously you need to do this before you hit the ground.
If you were curious about how Frank keeps himself from getting sick from performing all his acrobatics, he takes an abundance of precaution.
How's that Dramamine supply coming?
Oh, it's coming. We're going to have a caseload of it shipped in for this next flight we're going to make.
We also spoke to stunt pilot Jan Jones, who at that point had only been flying around 5 years. A former insurance software vendor, Jones had attended an air show and became smitten with stunt piloting after seeing another female pilot perform.
I first got involved in competition. My goal was not to fly in shows. I just wanted to do it as a hobby. And I'm afraid it's a hobby that's gotten a little carried away.
Jones said a pilot must be 100% focused while they're airborne.
What I'm thinking about is concentrating on where my placement is. Can't get too close to the crowd, don't want to be too far away, and of course want to be high enough off the ground. Lots of different little thoughts going through my head concerning the flight of the airplane. I don't think about what I'm going to fix for dinner that night.
Ladies and gentlemen, another shot.
Rounding off the weekend was the flight of the stealth bomber, but it wasn't just the plane that drew some fans to this modern marvel. The pilot, Mike Newman, and the crew chief, Skip Johnston, were both Maryville, Tennessee natives and graduates of Heritage High School.
Well, it was fun. It was nice coming home again. I haven't flown an airplane in here since pilot training back in '84.
At Heritage, Newman got an early start in the military through the junior ROTC program. Johnston was in the mime club. Miming, however, did help him in his career.
This is standard marshalling, right? This would be a right turn. This would be a left turn.
While the stealth bomber had already been revealed to the public by the military, some of its internal components were kept secret.
There's still some top secret stuff in it?
Oh, there sure is.
Like what?
Like I can't tell you. It wouldn't be top secret, right?
Right, I forgot about that.
So secret, in fact, that maintenance on the plane must be done in the dark.
You're in the dark, and the airplane's black, and you got to know what you're doing, and it takes a while to get acclimated.
Or else
you could whack your head, and
that would be terrible.
That would be bad.
The sun set on the first Dogwood Arts Air Show, and it would be 3 years until the planes would take flight again. During the first weekend of May 1998, we were welcomed back to the Tennessee Air National Guard base for the second Dogwood Arts Air Show. Organizing for this event began as soon as the previous one ended.
It's been pretty much non-stop planning from where the airplanes are going to park, the static displays, the traffic flow, just many, many things. So it's a lot of work by an awful lot of people out here.
One of the bigger attractions of the show, aside from the planes, of course, was the Navy Blue Angel Reactor, a simulator where visitors could emulate the flights of the Blue Angels.
I want to be a pilot when I, go to college and stuff. And this is great. I mean, you get to fly for 5 minutes. You don't even have a degree or anything, so it's great.
How does this thing hold you tight enough? You must be really strapped in there tight to do all this stuff.
I wear pads and back braces and a neck brace and the whole work. So because I'm getting older and I'm breaking.
Flying at that year's air show was stunt pilot Sean Tucker, who told us that feeling a bit nauseous while he was flying was nothing new to him.
Actually, I do get sick.
Did you get sick on the teapots at Disney World?
Actually, when I was a kid, I did get sick on the teapots at Disney World.
Sean also gave us a tour of his plane, and we found it was constructed with some surprising material.
It's really neat. If you come up a little closer and you can listen to this, it's made out of fabric. And it's really stretched really tight. And so we've used some of the old technologies and also some of the new ones. We got titanium landing gear, fabric wings, carbon fiber on the cowling, and lots of horsepower.
Although his plane wasn't designed for the tricks he was pulling off at the air show, Tucker said there was a method to his madness.
And it's a balancing act because the airplane's not supposed to do it, but if you just fly it just right and touch the air in the right way, that airplane will just hover there.
Ten-year-old Paul Carlson was inspired by the Thunderbirds he had seen take flight at previous air shows and wanted to be an F-22 pilot himself.
They're just really, really brave. That's what's so exciting about everything, because you're like, your heart's pounding and you're like, the adrenaline's going and you're like, they're gonna hit, and then all of a sudden they like turn off and they're gone.
For the time, Paul would have to stick to his simulation computer games.
This is what they do at the air show. They're taking off and they go like that.
But back at the air show, the planes were rekindling the passion of former pilot Jack Holcomb.
I flew for Delta for 34 years. Airplanes never get out of your system. It's just, you got to be around airplanes as much as you possibly can, and so this is a great place to do it.
Spectators, young and old, were left in awe of the aerial displays they were witnessing.
Were they exciting? Yeah. Tell me about when they took off.
Well, it was loud. It was really loud. And they went sideways.
They put on a spectacular show, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. Every time you hear something like that, it makes chills right up and down your back.
Celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Dogwood Arts Festival, the air show returned in the spring of 2000. That year's main attraction was the Navy's Blue Angels.
It's a pretty demanding schedule. It's a lot of fun and it's very rewarding, but it's very challenging as well. We have practice 6 days a week, basically, including shows, and we're on the road about 300 days a year.
As usual, the Angels didn't cease to amaze.
I spent 20 years in the Air Force and been stationed at a number of Air Force bases, and I haven't seen as much talented pilots as they have here.
As loud as it can get, that's the way I like it. Yeah, it's exciting. I love the way it makes your chest beat real hard and that thumping sound. I love that.
At the show, Dogwood Arts Festival Executive Director Bob Neal gave us an understanding of how much it costs to hold a show of that caliber.
It's a very expensive event to put on. This event's probably costing us about $250,000, and you pay that whether anybody comes or not. Hopefully, we'll come out in the black this time.
Now named the Great Smoky Mountain Airfest, the flying festivities were set to return in the spring of 2003. In January of that year, the Blue Angels stopped by Knoxville to help promote the show and do a bit of military recruiting.
Yeah, I was probably, 8, 9 years old, and I'm from Seattle area, and they came up and they did an air show over Lake Washington up there, and I was hooked from then on. It's probably the most cost-effective means of recruitment that there is. You can imagine trying to put a commercial on during the Super Bowl and the cost that would incur. we do is put on an air show in different cities all over the country, and it's kind of unquantifiable how much of a reach we have. It's the best ride in town.
Unfortunately, the Great Smoky Mountain Airfest was canceled in March 2003. Commander Colonel John Keenan said the decision was made in the interest of safety for the community and base. Keenan said he regretted having to cancel the show because it rewards the community for their support. He finished by stating officials hope to bring back the air show the following year. In October 2015, it was announced that for the first time since 2000, the Smoky Mountain Air Show would finally make its way back to the Air National Guard base. With it, an estimated 250,000 visitors and 600 jobs to the area, as well as a portion of the proceeds benefiting Honor Air Knoxville. To the delight of fans, the Blue Angels would also make their return.
We are super excited to finally be back. It's been so long since our team has performed here. So the Smoky Mountain Air Show next April 16th and 17th is something we've been looking forward to for a very long time.
John D. Tucker, double hammerhead, starts with a quarter roll.
Also returning was the voice of the 2000 Air Show, Rob Ryder, who assured us despite the long layoff, fans would be raring to go when the show began.
I've been at a couple of shows over the years where there's been a long gap between the last time and this time. And when the first airplane goes up in the air, people are really excited because they said, came to see this. Yeah, let's let her rip.
As it turns out, there's a lot more that goes into calling an air show than just knowing certain maneuvers.
My job is to give people some understanding about what's going on in the airplanes. Sometimes that's actually talking to the pilots. Sometimes it's doing history, in the case of the warbirds. And sometimes it's just to educate.
On opening day, traffic was causing problems for attendees, but they didn't let that damper their mood.
Left at 9 o'clock at Maryville College and arrived here almost about 1 o'clock.
At the point where we were almost to our parking lot, we were able to look over the bridge and you could see a backup from every direction and every on-ramp, off-ramp. It was amazing.
One of the big draws of the 2016 show was the F16 Fighting Falcon, one of the fastest planes in the world.
It's loud, it's fast. I go from 115 knots and I'll get up to close to the speed of sound around 600 knots.
Nicknamed the Viper due to its sleek, snake-like shape, Major Craig Baker promised a good show for the fans in attendance.
So we've got the Air Force's best out here showing you the capabilities of the Air Force. It's an exhausting routine for me, but it's a lot of fun. And from the crowd, it's going to be really loud. I think you'll see a lot of cool things that the airplane can do.
Along with the F-16, the first day of the show was highlighted by Aeroshell Aerobatics, the leapfrogs who spiraled from the sky and parachuted down with an American flag. And the main event was, of course, the Blue Angels.
Woo! How about that? I think it's one of the most magnificent programs that there is. I couldn't wait to get over here to see the show.
Seeing the planes take flight also reminded some of a weekend spent at the airbase long ago.
I'm 42. I've been to every one of them since my dad retired from here. I've been to every one of them. I love them. I love these things.
Aside from watching the flights, there was also an opportunity to learn about the history of the planes themselves. On display was a remade P-51 used by the Tuskegee Airmen in World War II. George Hardy, a retired lieutenant colonel and former member of the historic pilot group, said shows like this are a great way for children to get a glimpse into the past.
Well, you come out here and you get a lot of the history. You see so many of the airplanes that have flown over the years. Plus you see good precision flying. And these guys put on great shows. It's really inspiring to young kids.
My favorite is those planes that had the hard jets. I want to ride the Blue Angel.
By the end of the weekend, long after the planes had departed, there were still dreams of the Navy Blue Angels. September 10th and 11th marked the 5th time an air show has come to the Tennessee Air National Guard base. The Aeroshell Aerobatics team, the Army Golden Knights, their parachute team, as well as The Navy Blue Angels all making an appearance this year. Money made from that show will benefit the Boys and Girls Club of the Tennessee Valley and Second Harvest Food Bank. So come out, be safe, and enjoy the show.